The grand hall of the Celestial Council stretched endlessly, its walls shimmering with colors no human eyes had names for. Hundreds of alien leaders from countless star systems had gathered, each more imposing than the last. Some had scales that glowed like molten gold, some had multiple eyes that reflected every movement, while others had wings that brushed the ceiling as they shifted nervously. The air hummed with tension, a sound almost like a heartbeat. Today, the Queen would make a decision that could shape the fate of the entire galaxy. Every being, no matter how powerful, waited in silence, holding their breath. At the center of the hall, the Queen sat on her throne of pure crystal, her presence calm, yet unshakably commanding. Her eyes, bright and deep, scanned the assembly, measuring the pride, the fear, and the expectation in the room. She was ancient beyond imagining, wise beyond centuries, and her voice had once united warring planets with a single word. Now that voice would decide who would lead the defense against a darkness that had begun devouring stars, a darkness that threatened all life. A murmur passed through the council. Who could the Queen choose? Surely it must be one of us, the strongest, the most experienced? The whispers traveled like fire, and every alien present felt the weight of expectation pressing against their chest. And then the Queen spoke. Her voice was gentle but firm, carrying over the assembly with an almost magical authority. "There is one," she said, her tone calm but resolute, "who has shown courage that surpasses even the bravest among us." A stunned silence followed. Eyes widened. Antennae twitched. Tentacles froze midair. Humans, weak, fragile, unpredictable humans, had never been considered for such a role. Many in the hall turned their attention to the far corner, expecting some alien warrior to step forward. But no one moved. Slowly, the Queen raised her hand and extended her finger. Her gesture was deliberate, unflinching. The hall seemed to hold its breath. All eyes followed, and then they saw him, a human. Alex, barely 20 Earth years old, with nothing but courage and stubborn determination, standing at the edge of the hall. His chest heaved with nerves, his palms sweaty. He had crossed galaxies, survived trials, escaped death more times than he could count, and yet here he was, facing hundreds of creatures far more powerful than he could ever imagine. The weight of the moment pressed upon him like a mountain, but he stood tall. Gasps echoed through the hall. "Impossible!" A four-armed general shouted, his voice booming like a drum. "A human? They cannot survive our battles. They are weak, fragile, untested." Others nodded in agreement, their voices rising like a storm of doubt. The Queen's eyes swept over them, icy and unyielding. "I have watched him. I have seen his courage, his heart, his will to act when all others faltered. Debate ends here." Alex's mind raced. He remembered his first flight in a stolen spacecraft, his narrow escape from a collapsing asteroid field, the countless times he had faced monsters bigger than mountains, and the moments when everything seemed lost. Fear had been constant, but it had never defeated him. And now, standing in this hall, he realized that courage was not about strength or species, it was about heart, and the heart had no limits. Whispers began to change. Shock turned to skepticism, skepticism to curiosity. Even the fiercest warriors hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Could a human really lead them against the darkness? Could one being from a tiny blue planet hold the future of thousands of civilizations in their hands? The Queen's voice cut through the growing murmurs, soft yet absolute. "He will face trials, as all leaders must. And if he succeeds, he will lead not because he is human, but because he has earned it. Every species in this hall will follow him, or they will fall together." Alex's legs trembled. He felt the eyes of the galaxy on him, their hope, their fear, their doubt. He had never sought glory, never dreamed of recognition. But he understood now, this was bigger than him. This was about life itself. About every star, every planet, every being that looked to the sky and hoped to live another day. He swallowed, forcing his fear down, replacing it with determination. He would not disappoint the Queen. He would not disappoint himself. And somehow, deep inside, he knew that this moment, terrifying as it was, would change everything, not just for him, but for all humans, and for all those who dared to believe in courage over power. And as the hall waited, silent and tense, Alex took his first step forward, into a future none of them could yet imagine, yet one that would soon be shaped by a human heart that refused to break. The hall erupted into whispers, murmurs, and angry shouts. The Council of Alien Leaders could not believe what they had just witnessed. A human fragile, untested, inexperienced was chosen by the Queen to lead the defense against the darkness that threatened the galaxy. Some creatures stomped their claws in disbelief. Others hissed, their fangs bared in anger. "This is madness!" A tall, shadowy figure shouted. Its voice vibrated like thunder, shaking the walls of the hall. "A human? They are not warriors. They cannot survive what is coming." Alex's chest tightened. He had expected fear, maybe skepticism, but not outright hostility. Yet, in every furious glare, he felt a strange sort of clarity. He was small, yes. He was inexperienced, yes. But he was alive, and he had survived impossible odds before. He would survive this too. He had to. The Queen's gaze swept the room again, calm, unyielding, and filled with authority that silenced even the loudest objections. "I have watched him," she said, her voice echoing like a bell through the hall. "I have seen him face death without hesitation, fight when all hope seemed lost, and act with courage that surpasses strength. This is not a choice made lightly. He has proven his worth." A ripple of doubt passed through the council. Some creatures gritted their teeth, refusing to bow to what they considered an absurd decision. Others exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether defiance was worth the risk. In their hearts, they knew the Queen did not speak without reason. Yet their pride would not allow them to accept it easily. One of the oldest generals, with skin like cracked obsidian and eyes like molten silver, stepped forward. "If this human is to lead us, he must first face a trial," he said, his voice steady, though his hands trembled slightly. "If he cannot prove himself, then we have no hope." The Queen nodded. "So it shall be. He will face the trial of unity. If he succeeds, all shall follow him. If he fails—" She paused, and a shadow passed over her eyes. "Then the darkness will claim the galaxy, and we shall fall together." Alex swallowed hard. His mind raced. A trial? He had survived danger on Earth, in space, and against creatures no human should ever meet. But this was unlike anything he had faced. Hundreds of alien species, each more powerful than he could imagine, would judge him. And the trial itself, whatever it was, would push him to limits. He did not yet understand. As he was led toward the chamber where the trial would begin, whispers followed him like shadows. "He will fail," said one, a serpent-like creature with scales of deep green. "It is impossible for a human to survive what lies ahead." A four-armed general from Andromeda sneered. "He has no strength, no weapons, no skill. He is a child in a warrior's world." Alex clenched his fists, feeling the weight of every doubt, every insult, every expectation pressing down on him. Yet, within that weight, he also felt a spark, something familiar, something he had carried all his life, the stubborn refusal to give up. He had faced impossible odds before. He would face them again. The Queen's voice broke through his thoughts. "Courage is not measured in strength or power. It is measured in heart. If he steps forward with his heart, then he will succeed where others might fail." He nodded, though she could not see it. His mind focused. He remembered running through forests as a child, climbing mountains, fighting against fear itself. Those small moments, seemingly insignificant on Earth, had taught him what it meant to keep moving forward when everything seemed lost. Now the lessons of his life were about to be tested in the greatest challenge he could imagine. The hall fell silent as the doors to the trial chamber opened. Alex took a deep breath and stepped inside. The floor beneath him shimmered and shifted, forming shapes he could not name. Shadows twisted, creatures stirred, and the walls themselves seemed alive. This was the beginning, not just of a trial, but of a journey that would change the course of the galaxy. Outside, the alien leaders watched, some with horror, some with curiosity, some with a grudging hope. The whispers of doubt lingered, but even in their hearts, they felt something stir, something they had never expected. Perhaps courage was not measured by claws, wings, or power, but by a heart willing to face the impossible. Alex's first step into the unknown was small, but it echoed like thunder. Every heartbeat carried determination. Every breath carried resolve. He was just a human, but in that moment, he felt larger than any warrior, stronger than any doubt. And somewhere deep in the Queen's calm gaze, he saw a spark of trust that told him the galaxy was ready to follow a human who refused to break. The doors to the trial chamber closed behind Alex with a heavy, echoing clang. The moment he stepped inside, the air changed. It was thick and alive, filled with a low hum that seemed to vibrate through his chest. The floor beneath him glowed faintly, shifting like liquid metal, forming impossible shapes that twisted and turned. This was no ordinary trial. It was a test of mind, body, and heart. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite it. Alex took a deep breath. He felt the weight of the galaxy pressing on him. The walls seemed to stretch higher than he could see, alive with shifting illusions that made him dizzy. Shadows twisted into monsters, some resembling beasts he had only read about in ancient texts, others shapes his mind could not comprehend. He knew immediately, every step forward would be a battle, not just against creatures, but against his own fears. The first challenge appeared, a chasm so wide that even the strongest alien could not leap it. Across the gap, a bridge of light appeared, flickering and unstable, guarded by creatures that seemed like living fire. They hissed and circled him, eyes glowing, claws slashing the air. Alex's instinct screamed to turn back, but he could not. He remembered the Queen's gaze, the thousands of eyes in the grand hall, and the hope they had placed in him. He ran, his human legs moving faster than he thought possible. He leapt onto the unstable bridge, dodging bursts of fire and snapping claws. His heart pounded, but he refused to look down. Each step was a test of balance and courage. When he reached the other side, he did not feel relief, only awareness that this was just the beginning. The second challenge came quickly. The floor dissolved beneath him, revealing a pit of shifting shadows. Within it were illusions of his worst fears. Earth in flames, friends lost, failure everywhere. Alex froze, his mind screaming. But then he remembered everything that had brought him here, running across frozen mountains, surviving storms in space, facing creatures bigger than cities. He clenched his fists and whispered, "I will not fail." Slowly, he stepped forward, letting courage guide his feet, not fear. The illusions twisted and faded as he advanced, unable to touch a heart determined to move forward. As he progressed, Alex realized the trial was testing more than courage. It tested intelligence and creativity. At one point, a room appeared filled with mechanical puzzles, alien ruins, and doors that led to nowhere. He had no manual, no guide, only his wits and patience. For hours he worked, turning levers, studying symbols, finding patterns no alien could see. Slowly, the doors opened, and the path forward revealed itself. But not all obstacles were physical. At one moment, he encountered creatures who spoke not with words, but by pressing thoughts directly into his mind. They tried to convince him to give up, to turn back, to surrender. "You are weak," they whispered. "You are nothing." Alex felt doubt creeping in, the familiar sting of fear he had learned to fight since childhood. But he remembered the Queen's words again. Courage is action despite fear. He clenched his jaw, took a deep breath, and pushed forward, ignoring their lies, trusting his heart over their words. By the end of the first stage, Alex was exhausted. His clothes were torn, his skin scraped, his muscles screaming for rest. Yet, every obstacle he overcame strengthened something inside him, a fire that no darkness could snuff out. The trials were not just testing him. They were showing the galaxy what a human could endure, what a human could achieve. Far above, in the Grand Hall, alien leaders watched in disbelief as glowing messages of his progress arrived through the Queen's magic. Some whispered with shock, others with admiration. Even the fiercest skeptics could not deny the truth. This human, so small and seemingly fragile, was surviving challenges that would crush the strongest warriors. Alex paused briefly, looking at the endless corridor ahead. He was tired, yes, but he was determined. Every trial would push him closer to the edge, but he had learned long ago that courage was born in the heart, not in muscles or weapons. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and moved forward into the unknown, each step echoing with the silent promise that he would not fail. This was only the beginning. The trial was a crucible, designed to break him. But Alex, a human from a tiny blue planet, was unbreakable in ways the galaxy had never imagined. And deep inside, he knew that surviving this trial was not just for himself, it was for every life that looked to the stars and dared to hope. Alex pressed forward, his body trembling with exhaustion, his mind racing with every challenge he had faced. The trial had already tested him beyond what any human could have imagined, yet the final stage loomed ahead, a chamber shrouded in darkness, alive with whispers that clawed at his very thoughts. This was the moment the Queen had warned him about, the ultimate test, where fear and doubt would try to defeat him before his courage could shine. The darkness moved, twisting into shapes that seemed alive. It whispered his deepest fears, losing friends, failing the Queen, letting the galaxy fall. The voices were clever, melodic, seductive, coaxing him to give up. Alex's knees buckled. For the first time, he felt the full weight of everything on his shoulders. His mind screamed, "You are nothing. You cannot do this. Turn back." He sank to the floor, closing his eyes, letting the shadows wash over him. Every memory of failure, Every small fear he had ignored before rose up like a tidal wave. He thought of Earth, of the quiet nights watching stars, of friends he had laughed with, of family he had loved. What if he failed them? A human could fail. Humans were fragile, small, and weak, everyone said so. Even now, the darkness whispered it as if trying to break him. And yet, somewhere inside, a spark ignited. He remembered the Queen's words, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but action, despite it." Courage was not being fearless. Courage was standing up when everything told you to fall. Alex drew a shaky breath, forcing himself to rise. He clenched his fists, feeling every bruise, every ache, every scar in his body. They were not weaknesses, they were proof that he had survived, that he had kept moving forward, and that he could keep going now. He stepped forward into the darkness, and it reacted, forming terrifying creatures and illusions of failure. He dodged, ducked, and ran, but this time it was different. This time, he did not fight out of fear. He fought out of hope for the galaxy, for the Queen, for every life that depended on him. With every step, the illusions weakened. With every heartbeat, the shadows faltered. His mind, sharp and relentless, found patterns, flaws in the darkness, openings that others could not see. Then came the final challenge, a massive swirling void that seemed to stretch infinitely. It was not a creature, not a trap, but pure despair, a weight that pulled at his soul. Alex hesitated, staring into it, feeling as if it could swallow him whole. He remembered the trials that had led him here, the chasms, the fire creatures, the illusions, the traps. He had survived all of them. He could not give up now. "I will not fail," he whispered. His voice was small, almost lost in the void, but it carried strength. "Not for me. Not for anyone." And then he ran. He leaped into the void, trusting his heart, trusting every lesson he had learned, every fear he had conquered. The darkness shrieked, twisting and writhing around him, but it could not reach the core of his determination. Light erupted from Alex, shining outward in every direction. The darkness recoiled, unable to touch him. The whispers faltered and vanished. The chamber shook, and for a moment, silence reigned. Alex landed, exhausted but triumphant. His chest heaved, sweat and dirt streaked across his face, but a smile slowly spread over his lips. He had faced the impossible, and he had won. Outside, the council had been watching through the Queen's magic. The silence turned to awe, then to stunned applause. Even the harshest skeptics could not deny what they had seen. A human had not just survived the trial, he had mastered it. He had faced fear, deception, and impossible odds, and emerged stronger, wiser, and unbroken. The Queen's gaze swept across the chamber, calm and proud. "He has proven what I have always known," she said. "Courage does not belong to the strongest body or the fiercest claws. It belongs to the heart that refuses to yield. The human has shown that courage, determination, and hope can shine brighter than any darkness." Alex sank to his knees, overwhelmed. He had survived, yes, but more than that, he had proven something to every being in the galaxy, that humans, small and fragile as they were, carried a strength that could inspire hope, lead armies, and change the course of history. The path had been impossible, the odds insurmountable, but the human heart had prevailed. For the first time, he felt the weight of what the Queen's choice truly meant. This was not just a trial. It was a statement. The galaxy would never see humans as weak again. And though Alex was only one person, his courage had become a beacon, a light that no darkness could extinguish. And so, with every eye upon him, Alex rose. His legs were shaky, his body sore, but his heart was steady. He was ready. Ready to lead, ready to inspire, ready to face whatever the galaxy or the darkness would throw at him next. The chamber fell silent as Alex's light faded and the shadows retreated. For a moment, even the air seemed to hold its breath. Then, from above, the Queen's voice filled the hall, calm and powerful, reaching every corner of the galaxy through her magic. "He has proven himself," she declared. "Not because he is human, but because he embodies what true courage is. Every species in this hall will follow him, or we shall fall together." A murmur rippled through the alien council. Some looked shocked, unable to believe that a human, a species they had long considered fragile and weak, had surpassed their expectations. Others bowed in respect, slowly recognizing the truth. Alex had done what no one else could. He had survived every trial, faced every fear, and proven that courage, heart, and intelligence mattered more than claws, fangs, or wings. Alex sank to his knees, overwhelmed by the weight of the moment. His body ached from exhaustion, his skin was bruised, his clothes torn, but inside, his heart swelled with a strange mixture of relief, pride, and awe. He had not just survived the trial, he had changed the way the galaxy would see humans forever. For the first time, humans were no longer considered weak. They were recognized as beings capable of leadership, bravery, and inspiration. A tall figure from the Andromeda system stepped forward. Its 4 arms were tense, its voice still trembling with disbelief. I underestimated you," it said. "I thought it impossible for a human to succeed. But I see now. We were wrong. You have our respect." One by one, other council members echoed similar words, their voices shifting from doubt to admiration. Even those who had plotted against him, who had tried to see him fail, could not deny the truth. The Queen's eyes softened as she looked at Alex. "You have done more than survive a trial," she said. "You have inspired hope in a galaxy that had nearly lost it. You have reminded every being here that courage is not measured by strength alone, but by the willingness to stand and act, even when the odds are impossible." Alex's chest swelled. He had never sought recognition. He had never imagined standing among alien leaders as a symbol of hope. Yet now, with the Queen's words echoing in his ears, he understood the responsibility he bore. He would not fail. He could not fail. Every life in the galaxy depended on him, not because he was strong, but because he was human, and humans had a way of enduring when others might give up. As he rose to his feet, the council bowed, some out of respect, some out of awe, and some out of a dawning understanding that the galaxy's future might depend on following a human. Alex looked around at their faces, expressions of doubt, relief, hope, and even fear, and realized that this was just the beginning. The trial had tested him, yes, but leading the galaxy against the darkness would test him even more. Yet he felt ready. His heart, which had carried him through impossible odds, still burned with determination. His mind, sharpened by every challenge in the trial, was clear and focused. And his spirit, tempered by fear and doubt, was unbreakable. He was ready to lead, ready to inspire, and ready to face whatever the darkness would throw at him next. The Queen stepped down from her throne. Moving closer to Alex, her hand rested gently on his shoulder, a rare gesture of personal recognition. "You are not just a human," she said softly. "You are a leader. And the galaxy will follow you because they see the truth you have shown. Courage, hope, and action can change everything." Tears pricked at Alex's eyes. Not from weakness, but from the overwhelming realization that he had proven something bigger than himself. He had proven that humans could rise above fear, rise above doubt, and rise above expectation. He had become a symbol, a beacon for every species, reminding them that even the smallest, seemingly weakest beings could stand against the impossible. The council began to cheer. A sound that was at first cautious, then swelling into a wave of approval that shook the grand hall. Aliens who had doubted him now looked to him as a leader. Even those who had secretly plotted against him could only bow in respect. The Queen smiled, proud but calm, knowing that she had chosen correctly. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the hall, the weight of responsibility, and the strength of hope filling him. He was ready. He had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. The galaxy would follow him not because he was the strongest, but because he had shown them what it truly meant to be brave, to act, and to endure. And in that moment, a single truth echoed in Alex's mind: courage knows no species. Strength is born from heart, and hope can rise from even the smallest human.